Hi, I'm Mike Perkins from CarGurus. This week I've been driving the 2016 Scion IM. This is one of the stranger cars I've tested, believe it or not. Based partly on the Toyota Corolla and partly on the Scion TC, the IM is known as the Toyota Auris in the rest of the world. That's Auris, by the way, not Yaris. Now, Toyota markets this as a subcompact, but then strangely puts it in direct competition with compact cars like the Focus and the Mazda 3. This puts little IM at a distinct disadvantage because while competitors are powered by direct injected 2-liter engines producing between 160 and 170 horsepower, the IM is puttering about with a Corolla-sourced 1.8-liter engine that only manages 137. And while you might be tempted to think that such a power penalty would mean greater efficiency, the IM's 27 city miles per gallon and 36 highway slots it in at just better than middle of the pack. Of course, I've been only able to manage around 22 miles per gallon average, but admittedly I'm not trying to win any efficiency awards here either. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm starved for any 3-pedal car, because while this 6-speed transmission is not the most engaging setup I've ever experienced, I've still managed to have a bit of fun tossing it around this past week. I mean, yes, 137 horsepower is woefully behind the competition, but it seems more than enough to motivate this little IM. And I hear that the optional CVT isn't that bad either. Another strange thing, Toyota seems to have geared this transmission rather aggressively for takeoffs. So you have to rev it at least to 2,000 RPM just to get going, but if you go much past that, you're likely to get a bit of wheel spin. It's almost as though they did it to compensate for being underpowered versus the competition, but it just absolutely destroys your fuel economy, not to mention your tires. Now, the oddities aren't just in the drivetrain either. While the IM is Corolla-based, it takes that boring box's rear torsion beam suspension setup and upgrades it for an independent dual control arm unit. Couple that with the aggressive styling with the standard manual transmission, and you might be tempted to think that the IM has sporting pretensions, but it's simply not the case. Driving the IM, things are more practical than provocative. In fact, things can get unsettled over uneven pavement, so it's strange that they decided to go with the independent rear. I mean, the utility that's offered by 4 doors and the hatchback styling, it's really compromised by the suspension architecture, which intrudes into the trunk and the rear seat. Still, with 20.8 cubic feet in the trunk with the rear seats up, it's not the worst the segment has to offer. And interior space is generous, at least up front. In the back, it's a different story, at least for anyone over 6 feet, but front seats are comfortable and supportive if lacking any lumbar support. That's likely a nod to Scion's very young demographic. In fact, the interior might be the most surprising part of the IM. For less than 20 grand, there is a shocking amount of detail and soft touch materials here. There's contrast stitching nearly everywhere. There's this strange cream leather band here under the dash. I'm not really sure what they were thinking there, but I think I like it. And look at the materials here on the headliner and on the door. These are things you wouldn't normally get for the IM's $18,469 MSRP. Now, it's really impressive that at that price, you're going to walk away with dual zone automatic climate control, a rear view camera, Bluetooth with voice recognition, a 6-speaker Pioneer stereo with USB and aux input. Hell, you even get power folding heated mirrors. But then the strangeness sticks its head in the window again. Want blind spot monitoring or rear cross traffic alert? Not available. Sunroof? Better look somewhere else. These are things that are fast becoming staples of even the lowest segments, so to not include them as even an option here seems a strange strategy. I mean, I know Scion has never had the longest options list, but really here, other than small amenities like $185 floor mats or a $90 bumper protector, the only option is a $900 navigation system, but that's not included in this test model. Now, one even stranger note, I noticed that a lot of reviews that I read mentioned that the option to have are the TRD lowering springs and anti-roll bars, something they claim is necessary to make the IM handle the way it really should. But I checked the Scion website and they weren't there as an option, so I contacted Scion directly and they confirmed that they've never offered those as an option on the IM. They don't even have part numbers for it. So don't think you can go into your local dealership and improve the suspension from the factory. If you want some more shimmy in your Jimmy, you're going to have to take care of that on your own. But if you're looking for all-out performance from your IM, you're very simply looking in the wrong place. This isn't a sports car, it's a city commuter, and it's not a bad one. I'd like a tighter turning radius than its 18.7 feet, but the steering is light, if a bit numb. The brakes are adequate with a 122-foot 60-to-0 distance, and while the government has yet to test the IM, the RS on which it's based has done very well in European testing. Criticize it all you want for being down on power from the competition, but its 137 horses were more than enough to motivate me for the week. And it must be mentioned that since the engine is from Corolla, we'll probably see vinyl roofs make a comeback before it breaks down. Sadly, Scion is no more. So if you want one, you better hurry, because next year this is getting rebadged as the Toyota Corolla IM, just like the Scion IA is becoming the Toyota Yaris IA. That's Yaris, by the way, not Aris. Regardless, it is a good option as long as you don't need to own the fastest car on the block, or the most spacious, or the cheapest. Oh, what do you think? Would the IM fit your bill, or do you want something with a bit more power? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe either. And if you want to know more, just click the link in the description. We can head over to CarGurus.com and read my full review of the 2016 Scion IM.